For me, if you're a Second Amendment lover, supporter, you think that we need to keep this right, do everything we can to do that, just have those tough conversations in your neighborhood, meet your neighbors. So many people don't even know their neighbors anymore. Get out, have those conversations.
Welcome back to Whiskey and Windage, the 2A podcast for the people, by the people. I'm your host, Mike, joined by my co-hosts, Matt and Adam. Adam, how are we doing tonight?
Man, I'm finally feeling better from that SHOT Show crud. That thing kicked my butt for like 7 days, and I never get sick. Everyone knows this. I never get sick, and that kicked my butt. So feeling good tonight, Mike. Excited for this podcast. Kind of last minute, we got a pretty cool guest on, so I'm pumped.
Yeah, Matt, man, tell us, how are you doing, and who do we have tonight?
I didn't get sick from SHOT Show, so I feel pretty great. Nice, relaxing Sunday with the wife. Get to hop on, do my favorite show with my boys, and I am super excited about tonight's guest, a big name out there in 2A content, Mr. Jared Yanis from Guns and Gadgets. Jared, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey guys, it's my honor. Thanks for having me on, and I am just getting over the SHOT Show as well. It's only the second time I've ever been sick. The first was the big one when the real COVID hit the States, this one is just a sinus, but it's kicking my butt.
Yeah, That's how it was for me. It was bad. Like I almost didn't get on the airplane. Like I was worried about getting kicked off the airplane. It got so bad. So
yeah, we got lucky. Matt and I both, we live in separate cities, but somehow we both acquired the flu about a week and a half before SHOT Show. We went through it. We're on the mend. Everything was good. So when we went there, it was just kind of like, I got some sniffles for a second, but it was like, I'm good. Let's go.
Yeah.
Well, you lucked out. This is a good one.
Yeah, we got lucky. Yeah. People had my wife came back with flu type A. Some people came with flu A and pneumonia. I'm like, golly, this is just nuts.
Most folks who listen to our show are probably at least familiar with your show, but give us, in case they haven't heard, give us a little background, how you stumbled into becoming a Second Amendment creator.
Well, it started when I was a young buck. I grew up in a pretty rough neighborhood in a housing project area, and it's where I cut my teeth as a young one. And I got to see a lot of bad things happen to a lot of good people early on and realized that everybody had the right to defend themselves. And I lived in Massachusetts, which was a state that for some reason didn't want you to do that. And then as I grew older, I realized because of the way I kind of grew up and some things that I experienced, I wanted to get into law enforcement to try to help people that had to grow up the same way I did, and became a cop as soon as I was legally able to at 21, and was able to, I guess that's kind of like a superpower when it comes to reading law. If you can translate Old English, if you know what it really, really means, and then you can turn that into common speak so that normal people can understand it, you can actually teach people what the politicians are actually really trying to do in a bill. The bill might be named "We Love Rice Krispies," but if you dig down, it's usually trying to ban Rice Krispies or something about it. So I was able to do that during my career, and it was always around firearms because Massachusetts hates guns. And then as I got a little older in my career, I blew out my shoulder and had surgery, and while I was sitting home healing up, back then, this is like 12 years ago-ish, YouTube was basically like a holster review channel or a crazy cat video.
Yeah.
And I was a firearms instructor for a long time. And I said to my oldest son, at the time he was my only son, I said, you know what, I can do what these guys are doing. They're missing some key parts on these holster reviews that people really should know.
You said it.
He challenged me. He said, all right, do it, and held up an iPhone 4S. That tells you how long ago this was. In a basement of my old home, and I think this video is still on my channel. I got rid of all my gun stuff, but I didn't know anything about lighting, sound, background. I mean, there's cobwebs that were on the back, but that started it. And I started to do some gun law stuff when Massachusetts started to change their assault weapon ban. And those videos popped a lot more than any review video I ever did. So I started to do more of those, and I saw that there was a thirst for that because there was nobody on YouTube that was doing that full time, because it's a lot of work. You got to research and read 180-page bills and stuff like that, and lawsuits. So I kind of doubled down on it, and every time I did a video that was law related, it was exponentially better than any other video I did as far as views and comments and likes. So I just kind of leaned into it because it was easy for me. It was something I was doing anyway. I was getting paid to do, so I turned that into a passion project, and the rest is kind of history. I started to expand out of Massachusetts and cover California and New York. And, there's a lot of people who live in those states that really want to know what their government was doing. And here we are today.
Well, I commend you for it because, like you said, I've been watching you as a 2A advocate about 2A news for years now. And it always seemed that you were like the first guy to get some news. Like, it's almost like you had some insider information sometimes, but you were the guy reporting it first. And that was huge. When it came to 2A news, there was no one else doing it at first. And to this day, you're still one of the best doing it. So, I commend you as one of the big advocates out there. And, we need more people like that.
Thank you, man. I was blessed that, I worked in a couple different states throughout my career, and some of the guys and gals that I worked with have moved on to, bigger and better things. And that has worked out well for me. And as the channel grew in not only viewership, but in, I guess, respect, for lack of a better term, I started to get people in Washington, D.C. that would watch the channel, and I would get, still get representatives in Congress and in the Senate that will, every now and then, their office will leave a message or a comment or reach out directly. So it's worked well. And, being really good friends with, FPC, GOA, and SAF, that's also opened up avenues. It's been good, because I try to bring the information out, and there's people who are on the inside that want the information out, and it's kind of been a good relationship.
No, that's awesome, and it's not easy to do. People think that you can throw a camera on, go on YouTube, and just go at it, and it's not that quite that easy, is it?
No, man. I remember it took me like 6 months to get my first 100 subscribers. I think I hit 1,000 subscribers in my first 2 years. The channel didn't really gain traction until like 4.5, 5 years into it. So, when I say it was a project of passion, that's exactly what it was, because I was making, I don't know, you don't do it for the money when you first start. I think I was making $16 a year to do it. So I had to keep convincing my wife, eventually this is going to take off because nobody's doing it. There's a hole there that needs to be filled, and I think I can do it. And here we are. I'm blessed that YouTube has been able to help me provide for my family more than I ever would have, chasing calls as a cop. And I'm just blessed, man. Just lucky to be doing what I'm doing.
That's awesome.
Sure.
I think, Mike, what are we up to? We just monetized. I think we're up to 20 cents now, right?
No, I just sent the corporate email out to us three. We say corporate, that upon the announcement of Matt Carricker and Demo Ranch's retirement, our Rumble revenue increased from 8 cents to 10 cents. So
wow.
we're
We just got a
man.
raise.
We're doing it.
It's 20%, man. That's big.
It is.
Huge.
And I think what you said about your channel growing, everyone says it, and you'll hear it from a lot of people like, oh, that's the old YouTube, or that's the old social media versus the new social media, but there's still truth to all of it. Whereas a lot of guys come out, even if your content is great, you're still most likely not going to see a big change overnight. You're not going to wake up and see, oh gosh, I have 10,000 followers today. Awesome. It's a grind, but it's also like a force multiplier. It's a start with 100, then it goes to 2, then it doubles to 4, then it doubles to 8. But it is a very slow grind. But like you said, it's a project of passion.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like anything. You could be the best in your field, no matter. You could be the best mechanic working on Ferraris, but the whole world doesn't know you exist until people start to spread your work word of mouth, and eventually your following grows and it multiplies, like you said. And you just have to be doing the best you can, and hopefully people find out who you are. If you're into the game to be famous, you're not doing it for the right reasons anyway, and people will see through that in a heartbeat. You have to be true. You have to be honest. You have to have integrity. And, if you're looking for fame quick, you should probably be wearing some booty shorts on a different platform, I guess.
Oh, it works. Trust me.
So I do want to bring up, because that TriStar over your right shoulder is true and near to my heart, because I'm a fellow Tennessean. I said it jokingly before we recorded, but once you decided to make the move from the Northeast, you came and I guess settled in East Tennessee. And I guess why East Tennessee? Talk a little bit about why Tennessee was appealing.
Sure. So there were 3 places I was looking. I was looking in Texas, I was looking in Florida, and I was looking here in the East Tennessee area. One of the things that I love is the mountains. In New England, I mean, we don't have really big mountains, but the ones that we do have are gorgeous up in New Hampshire and in Vermont. And the White Mountains in New Hampshire are something special to my family. It's my dad used to bring us there every year, and we have a lot of memories. Just taking in nature. And as a city kid, I hated it because it was boring. There was nothing to do. But now that I'm older, you realize the memories that were made there. And looking around, once I was forced to retire because of my injury, I got to do whatever and go wherever I wanted and get my kids away from the woke stuff. But to Texas a few times, and it didn't take me too long to realize that it was too hot. And my body doesn't do good with heat, being from New England. So Texas was taken off the list relatively quick. I wanted to go to Florida for the main reason because, I'm part owner of a pretty decent sized coffee company. We're in Florida. And at the time, our facility was just outside of Fort Myers. Right after an Iraq veteran 88 range day shoot a couple of years ago, while we were there, a hurricane destroyed the area. And I drove overnight through the storm to help our employees who lost everything. And looking around at what used to be the Fort Myers beach area and all the homes that were gone, and talking to some people who lost everything, I realized that, as a father, I couldn't bring my kids to an area where that's normal. And maybe a storm's not that big or normal, but hurricanes are a normal thing. And, the decimation they cause it's everybody knows about it.
Perfect.
So it's one of those reasons, other than gun law and politics in general, it's one of those reasons I'd never move to California. It's like, the earthquake. Or,
yeah. And
or
the Second
Louisiana,
Amendment,
the hurricane. Like, why are you going to, I personally, they're beautiful places, but I don't want to move to a place that there's a natural disaster that can occur at any time.
Right. And one of the things, like, I didn't say it, but it's obvious, is one of the reasons I was leaving the Northeast because of the gun laws, and it's blue no matter who and all that stuff. But so I'd come to Tennessee a few times, a handful of times. A friend of mine who lives down the street, Johnny B, he was recruiting me pretty hard. And every time I came here to visit, showed me a good time, showed me the area, got me to learn like some of the history in this area. And every time I drove through to go to Georgia or to go to Florida, I'd stop in and say hi. And spending time here in the mountains of East Tennessee, I realized that it was as close as I could get to home, as far as 4 seasons. You got a mountain, my backyard, but they don't have this thing called winter like we do. In New England, we measure our storms in the snow, season in feet. Here, we measure it in an inch maybe, and the whole state gets shut down. So I can deal with that. So we selected Tennessee, and the rest is history, man. I absolutely love it here.
You're recruiting people too, from my understanding. There's more people going to Tennessee right now.
We met a couple at SHOT Show that are moving from the Southwest that are looking for land, and I'm sending them land pictures and land places. But yeah, it looks like you guys are going to have a little cornucopia of content creators before too long. There's already a lot, but
yeah, we're joking. We should buy like a couple 100 acres and start our own Dutton Ranch out here for freedom-related YouTube and
build a compound.
I found a spot that I sent one of the guys. I'll tell you offline, but
okay,
it was about 80 acres. It was shaped in a U, surrounded by hills and mountains. But there was like 40 acres of flat field and one farmhouse. And it was like, man, you could put a range, you could put a campsite, and you could still build the house you want, and no one would see you. And I was like, this is right up his alley. So I sent it to him.
Yeah, I know who it is, and that's exactly what he's looking for. Yeah.
Yeah. But what's really interesting, I'm glad you said something about the snow in feet and inches. When you first moved here, because I'm a native of Tennessee, I'm a native of Nashville, but it still makes me laugh. When they predict snow and they get an inch, first off, no one in the whole state knows how to drive. Nobody can drive. And then if they can get out for some reason, and I don't know why, it makes kind of sense, but not really, but you can go to your local grocery store and there is no milk, there are no eggs. Everything else, plentiful. But you can't find milk, you can't find eggs, and Sometimes you can't find bread, but it's just so crazy how this state will shut down over a dusting.
Oh, San Antonio's worse. We'll get ice, just a little bit of ice in San Antonio, and it's the same thing. Shut down, eggs gone, bread gone for ice. So it's nuts.
Yeah, it's like everybody's going to have a buffet of French toast to make it through the apocalypse or something.
I love
yeah,
that.
It's crazy. The first weekend, I bought my house for Christmas 2 years ago, and that was the year that in East Tennessee we had the deep freeze. I got to like single digits for 3 days, and people's pipes were bursting, and they were freaking out. And we were driving around just like I wear shorts pretty much year round, and I had a sweatshirt, a winter hat, and shorts on, and people thought I was absolutely insane. They were trying to throw me in an asylum or something. But it's different to see how people here in the South deal with a little bit of winter. But I can deal with the winter and can't deal with the heat. But when it's 95 to 105 here, I can't deal with that, and my neighbors all laugh at me. So you got to give some to take some.
Yeah, I always tell people I'm the same way. I always say, hey man, I consider myself a big guy, and big guys don't dissipate heat well. Like, I don't like it. I don't want it. Like, I'd rather be cold. I can put more layers on. There comes a point where I can only take so much off before it's a felony. So,
yeah.
But something else that now that we've talked about natural disasters, we've talked about snow, we've talked about East Tennessee, you experienced a horrific, the citizens and the residents of East Tennessee and Western Carolina experienced a terrible disaster this past year, but you get to experience, and you've seen it beforehand, but you get to see how the southern community, and I can't speak to the north or anything else because I have never lived there, but man, they pull together and they don't really rely on a whole lot of other people outside help. If they get it, great, but they act like they're going to go forward depending that we're not going to get help, so we're going to help each other. And what you guys did, watching helicopters get flown in and generators and food and all the stuff that you guys were able to provide, like, hey, it's cool. I'm going to ride in a helicopter today. This is going to be a great day. But at the same time, you were able to give back and serve your community well. Like, first off, we commend you for that.
Thank you.
Talk about that. Talk about, what you guys were able to do while everyone else was still trying to formulate a game plan.
Yeah, so I was a cop for 24 years, and first 3 years of my career was in New Orleans, and we had some huge hurricanes. It wasn't Katrina, it was before that, and I got to see how you need to take care of a lot of people really, really fast, and I did that, and we had a couple hurricanes in New England and stuff, but nothing quite like what I experienced down south. And then when Hurricane Helene parked here over the mountains, I was actually in San Diego speaking at the annual event for Second Amendment Foundation at GRPC, the Gun Rights Policy Conference, and it hit on my second to last day. And I was trying to pay attention to the other speakers, but I was watching all of the things on X come out, and you would see the flooding, and you would see the 26-foot swells. Yes, 26-foot, people. It was huge. You would see rivers wipe out hollers, complete towns, take away the highway. And I knew that it was going to be rough when I got home. So I got home as fast as I could, and as soon as I landed, I told my wife, like, we need to do something. We need to do everything we can to help these people, because we've been there. We've been through this. We've been victims of stuff before, and to my wife's credit, like, I couldn't do any of this stuff. This 12 years with this channel or anything we did for Helene victims. I couldn't do anything without my wife. She's the rock in this relationship, and takes care of the kids when it's time for me to do what I got to do. And so all credit goes to her to allow me to do this stuff or keep my relationship. But we just went right to work. Like, within 12 hours of the storm hitting our area here, Jonesboro it's like 4 minutes from my house, and Irwin, which is right down the street from Jonesboro, was ground zero here for East Tennessee. And to this day, like, literally, it still looks like the hurricane hit last weekend. That's how bad it is. My friend, Bear Independent, TJ, who runs Grindstone Ministries, called me personally and said, "Are you okay?" And once he found out I was okay, he said, "We're coming to your area to set up. You find us a good spot. we're going to come do everything we can. So I knew I had some solid support coming. They're coming from Oklahoma. And I knew I was going to do everything I could possibly do to get them everything they needed to get, food, water, medicine, everything we needed to get to the people who lost everything. And still, the people in the mountains don't have electricity and heat, and they're living in tents. Here we are in February, 4 months later. So we just did everything we could, man, whether it was buying stuff personally or, I started telling people on my channel that, if they wanted to send money to my PayPal, it was going right to the victims. I wasn't going to keep a nickel of it. And all in all, we gathered about $100,000 in cash and supplies and goods from all around the country. My viewers were phenomenal. And other YouTubers stepped up and sent trailers of stuff. It was good to see people from around the country take care of Americans, because we kind of lost that here. Americans taking care of Americans. And then when I got to talk to some of the folks, when we had to hike stuff in to where areas where there were no roads anymore, and talking to some of the victims up in the mountains and the hollers and stuff, and it was clear, crystal clear, that they weren't waiting for the government. They weren't going to do anything that the feds told them to do. Stay out of the area. They were going to go in and take care of each other. And we saw all the stuff where FEMA was trying to, or people who said they were FEMA, were trying to take supplies from folks, or if you brought supplies and it went to a municipally controlled location like a school, that they took that here from us in East Tennessee and they brought it down to Asheville. So we started to call people and said, bring it to a church, because the municipal people can't control churches. So the churches started to step up, and they're still doing, a great job. And, we started loading up places and with supplies and distributing it all over East Tennessee and Western North Carolina. And a lot of people did a lot of great things, man. And I don't do it for the accolades. I did it because people needed it, and I just was blessed to have a really large, caring audience that was willing to send a few bucks to help out any way they could. And the rest is history. Is just a bunch of people coming together to save Americans.
I commend you because, well, one, we have some mutual friends we'll talk about later that I know you did a lot speaking to them off camera. I know what you did on camera. Using that was amazing. But guys like Mike and Mr. Guns and Gears, there's other podcasters out there. We saw this paradigm shift when it came for the election about interviews and Trump doing interviews with podcasters and getting real, honest journalism out there. What we also saw then was when the government didn't step up, people with these platforms like yourselves, and I know for a fact Mike from Mr. Guns and Gear did a lot too. You guys took this platform you had. You're just a gun guy. You're just a gun advocate. No, you're a human with this power, I will say, and you took it for the good. And you guys did so much, and you did a lot more than the government did at that point. And there's still a lot of people doing things that are raising money. There's still people in tents out there that people are supporting it, and people don't realize how bad it still is up there.
Yeah, it's real bad still. Asheville's kind of back to normal, except for the areas down in Biltmore Village. If you've been to Asheville, you'll know the area as soon as I mentioned it. It's still gone. But here in Irwin, still destroyed. 26 is still down to one lane, really. In some areas where they rebuilt the road, it's starting to wash away again because they couldn't, didn't have the time to do it the right way. And then there are areas where we were still waiting for the federal government to come in and help, where people got sick of it, and the locals started to rebuild the roads themselves. And then as the road was almost done, I'm thinking of a couple areas here, then the feds came in and said, all right, we'll take it from here because it's basically done. We'll take credit for it.
It's easy work.
It's just stuff like that. And then real quick, if we got a second, FEMA, we had heard one day I was with the folks at Grindstone Ministries at their forward operating base, and someone came in and told them that, hey, listen, we're told FEMA is saying that this is a FEMA location, and they're at Jonesboro Middle School. So I had just bought this pair of Meta glasses, Ray-Bans that record, and I was like, you know what? This is a good time to see if these glasses are worth their weight in gold.
Check them out.
So I went in and I recorded, and you pull into the parking lot. There's not a sign that said FEMA. There wasn't even a FEMA vehicle, so none of the residents who needed help knew they were there. Went in, and there was a trooper at the front entrance, asked him if FEMA was there. He routed me through the building all the way downstairs to the back of a gymnasium. Again, no signs that said FEMA was there, so no help. The people were dire and desperate, lost everything, lost their houses, lost everything. There was no way for them to know that there was any help. And this was right after they announced, you could get up to $720 if you've lost everything in your life, as long as you meet all the criteria. So I hit record, man, and walked in, and there were 4 people working there, and they were all dinking around on their phones, playing games and their iPad and stuff. And I walked in and just started asking questions like, hey, what are you doing to help these people? Where are you? Why aren't you there? And the response was kind of shocking. It caught me off guard because she said, we're not down there because the roads are closed. So I said, what do you mean? She goes, well, we were told we can't drive on the roads because they're closed. I said, how do you think I got here? I drove on a road. How do you think people are getting down, helping these people right now while you were 2 weeks later, you're not even down there? Like, we're driving on the roads. You drive around the barricade, man. You just do what you got to do. This is America. And so then I said, I'm down there helping every day. And they realized, this guy, we can use him. So they tried to get my information, where I was working out of. And they asked for a few locations to set up. And I told them where to go set up. And they didn't. They never went down to set up. And I exposed them real quick. I put out a quick video about that. And it was obvious that we weren't getting the help. And I think the first couple weeks after the storm, there was like $1.8 million that was sent into the area immediately, and we recently found out that not a single dollar went to a single victim. So it's still Americans helping Americans here in Appalachia.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
You'd never think that mountains would flood, but I was part of Nashville when we had the big flood in 2010, and it was just. It's just all of those hollers, like you say, all of the low points, all of the valleys, all the water just sheds to these things. And places like Chimney Rock, North Carolina, that I had drove through before, and it's just a quaint, pretty little town. And now you go, and it's
destroyed.
It's just a canyon, and it's it's like there's nothing there, and it's just crazy to see. And I don't I don't want to compare that to the political landscape that's going on overseas, but it's just like it's crazy to think that I remember seeing the news come out that, hey, if you're eligible and you've lost everything and we really think you deserve it, we'll give you $700 and something bucks. And that came out on like a Thursday, and then on a Saturday when no one's watching the news, it was like, the United States agreed to give more billions of dollars to Ukraine, and it's like, I mean, at this point, since money doesn't really matter, we're just printing it. Why can't we just print the people who actually need some? Like, let's just print them some too. Like, let's make it easy.
It was a low point, man. It was a low point of 4 years that were rough on the country as a whole. But I think, unfortunately, it took a lot of loss and a lot of devastation for people to open their eyes. Just like people in California right now, their eyes are open, because a lot of the mismanagement that's happened over the decades reared its ugly head all at once. The people in Hawaii had their eyes opened. And America in November, regardless of what your personal politics are, November, people said we've had enough and we want to take care of America again. And we'll see if it comes true. We'll see if we're in a better spot. I personally like the last 12 days better than the last 4 years, but we'll see what happens going forward, man.
This is true. So, Jared, moving forward a little bit now, and on a positive note, we all meet each other for the first time at the Gundies. We are actually up to the same category. We all got our butt kicked by Sean Ryan, which we all should have.
We were robbed. We were all robbed. I don't know, whatever.
But, there was a lot of other awards that went out. Of course, you were up for King of the Hill as well, right? King of the Hill you were up for. But then you also were kind of, I'm guessing you were surprised. Were you kind of knowing that was going to happen, or was that a big surprise?
That was a total surprise. It was, I had no clue that I was going to receive the Philanthropic Award. It's the second time they've done it. Last year it was given to John Lovell and his wife Rebecca, personal friends of mine, for the work that they do. They do a ton of great stuff, and I was a shock, and I was totally humbled that people recognized the effort that I was just able to help quarterback here in the Hurricane Helene area. And it's not why I do it. I didn't do it because I wanted an award, but it was awesome to see that the industry recognized it and gave me a little attaboy. And it was just really cool. It was really, really cool. It's probably the award that I have that, and this goes throughout my whole career, it's probably the one that means the most.
Yeah, that's better than any podcast King of the Hill, gun reviewer, two-way advocate. Like, that's the one, because that's the one where people recognize and say, hey, you're not just part of this crowd. You stand out and you've truly made a difference. And that's got to be really, like, heavy on your heart. Like, that you made a difference. And that's all we all want to do.
And it's cool because, as a father of four, it helps me. It's a teaching tool too. So I can point to that and tell my kids, like, do the right thing even when nobody else is watching. Have integrity, and other people take notice, and other people will follow. If not everybody's a leader, but there are a lot of people who are followers. And if you step up to lead, man, you can form armies.
No, that's true. Before we move on to some other cool stuff, I want to get back to the two-way advocacy, because you are a big component of that in this community. And a lot of people watch your stuff, and a lot of people get uproared about the gun laws and they hate it. And, we already know, I know you did a big thing about how many people are not registered voters in like Texas and other states. But on top of that, the people that are voters, the people that do want change, what's some advice you give to the listener, the average person? What steps can they take to be a better two-way advocate?
So one thing I like to tell people right up front is you don't have to have a YouTube channel or be a public speaker or any of this to be a Second Amendment advocate or a First Amendment advocate or whatever you think you have a passion for that you want people to know about. All you need is a voice, and your voice is stronger in your local community than it would be on YouTube anyway. For me, if you're a Second Amendment lover, supporter, you think that we need to keep this right, do everything we can to do that, just have those tough conversations in your neighborhood, meet your neighbors. So many people don't even know their neighbors anymore. Get out, have those conversations. Let your know your legislators, your state, local level ones. Call them. If you want a bill to pass, call them and tell them why. A lot of people get very intimidated by that. They're your employees. Don't be nervous about that. I've done a couple videos where, especially when I moved to Tennessee, I hit record and I called our local, our U.S. rep and state senator, U.S. rep, state rep, and U.S. senators live. That's how you can influence things, is by, being that, for lack of a better term, be that squeaky wheel. Let your legislators know when you back something or when you don't support something, because you give them the tools that they need, especially when people call by the thousands. Then they have a tool where they can say, hey, my district isn't for this, I'm not going to vote for it. Or the opposite, my district wants constitutional carry, I'm going to vote for it. That's how you can be a huge part of the fix, and people don't realize just how powerful they are anymore. We the people actually mean something. We have the power in this country, and you don't need YouTube to influence people. You can just do it at the local level.
No, I love that. And we've had other people on. I know Ava Flannel is a big two-way advocate, and she is a big component of local level, getting down to your city. I think we even had Kyle Groth Youth from Sons of Liberty in San Antonio. Mm-hmm. He's out here talking about it all the time, the local level two-way advocate, stirring up the pot. And I think that's a key takeaway is no one wants to do that, right? No one wants to go to their local level. All we care about is the big elections. And I think getting in there to your local level, I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's huge, because far too often, like most conservatives, if you just want to throw out blanket terms, most conservatives, they're working 40 to 60 hours to try to support themselves and the family, and they don't have time to do all this stuff, and they don't really get involved or get fired up until something personally affects them. For decades, we heard, it doesn't bother me, I don't really care. My parents, it doesn't bother me, I don't really care. And that was a problem. And that's why we're where we are now in this country, where so many things are so out of whack. We need to take that time, whether it's a 15-minute section of our day, take it, use your lunch period and make those phone calls to your local reps. It takes 30 seconds to talk to these people. It doesn't take a lot. Make the phone calls, send an email, boom, back to work, finish, if you have a working lunch. And that actually does a lot more than just ignoring it and hoping that, like, Gun Owners of America can fix the problem 10 years down the road.
No, that's spot on. Or we do what we always do. We get our, we vote someone in for 4 years and hope that's going to be the change, and then we do nothing with it, as we've seen before.
Yeah, well, that's why, like, right now, even though people are looking forward and with a lot of optimism right now, people who are pro 2A, this is the time to be active. It wasn't really the last 4 years where we were trying to take stuff from us. It's these 2 years right now where we actually have the ability and the opportunity to get some ground back. This is when we should be really, really active, and hopefully we don't have people just, put it into neutral and coast.
So Jared, you always you almost seem ahead of everybody in your level of knowledge of legislation, of politicians. Do you see at any time in your future an attempt for public office?
You never know. You never know. It's one of those things, like, if I was ever called upon to be someone who could do the right thing for the community, I wouldn't say no. Although I hate politics, if I were ever to do it,
that's why we want you.
If it ever happened, I would probably be a one-termer, because I don't work well with people I know are lying or trying to violate the Constitution. And we'll see. You never know. I know that you have to have a 3-year residency here in Tennessee, so we'll see what happens.
Well, I think
You already know the rules.
Yeah, I think it's the same. I think it's the same with Ava, though. Ava set back when she started this new, her new advocacy channel, and she said, just like a lot of conservatives do, like you said earlier, we're busy, we have a lot of stuff, but we also think, we've got a pretty good head on our shoulders. Surely everybody else does, and they're not going to let this stuff go to the wayside. And then you look up and you realize, oh shit, it's gone to the wayside.
Yeah.
So, she said she started hers because she was hoping that some superhero would come in and defend them, and no one ever did. And she was like, I didn't want to do it, but I'm my own last resort.
Right.
And I'm not going to let people, try to take my rights. So I'm going to fight for everybody else's as well, because there's not a good presence. So I think that's kind of the similar action, like what you're saying about getting into politics. Everybody hopes that someone else is going to take care of it. Everybody else hopes that, the people that are elected have a good head on their shoulders. And I'm sure at one point most of them did. But, money changes a lot of people. And unfortunately, that's just what it boils down to. I find it interesting in the space that we're in. I was talking to a mutual good friend of ours, John Keys, and I was talking to him, and I was saying, we're trying to just make a difference. We want to try to figure out what we can do to help the 2A community. It's not for fame, it's not for fortune, it's not for any of that. We want to make our mark. And he said when he got into the 2A space 4 years ago, that wasn't a thing. It was just, hey, you got in because you like the 2A. But now it's almost like infighting amongst the 2A community, and it's not enough that you're a big YouTuber and you're bringing awareness to firearms. Now the infighting is, well, what are you really doing for the community? And honestly, I think that's a very healthy fight to have. I don't care if you're top of the list doing the most for the community, or if you're at the bottom of the list and you just did just enough to say you did something. At least you did something.
Yeah.
So I do find that refreshing that now this wave of new content creators and people trying to get in the industry are also kind of comparing their badges of honor, their badges of courage, saying, well, I've done this. I don't think we should brag about it to each other, but it's like, hey, we should be trying to help the community we're in.
Yeah, as long as it's building up each other up and we're not trying to take each other down, then absolutely. Iron sharpening iron is a good thing. Holding people accountable is one thing, but doing it in a way which you run the risk of being slanderous and liable, then that's for me, that's not, I'll never do that. No. If I have an issue with another creator, I mean, it's a small group we have, it's a small community, we all can get a hold of each other relatively easy. I'd rather talk somebody face to face or over the phone directly than to do it over, the video platform. But that's just me. I'm old school.
No, I'm with you.
I'm almost 50. I'll be 50 in July. It's not everybody operates that way anymore. But I think that there are more of us in the community now than there were when I got into this, which is a great thing. There are people in all different walks of life, different, colors and genders, and it's awesome to see that every community is represented in the Second Amendment community. It's a very welcoming community, and the more that the country as a whole knows that, it can only benefit the country as a whole, and I really believe that.
Oh, for sure. And now, we see these new platforms coming up, which kind of segues us in, because we all know Meta made some promises. Mark Zuckerberg said some stuff, which I still haven't seen. According to my Instagram, he's full of shit. But
it also looks like a whole lot of people just came down. We've got yellow. We've got, I guess they're orange flags. We've got an orange flag on our account, but I started seeing there's like a rainbow of colors. Like there's red ones too, and I'm like, some of these people were fine a week ago, and now they're just all red strikes. I'm like, ooh,
yeah.
So, trouble.
I mean, obviously, we still can't trust that. Even YouTube, restricts a lot, and we know that. But now we do see other platforms coming up, like kind of one you just partnered with, correct?
Which one's that?
Oh, the We the Free?
We the Free.
Oh, I'm sorry. I for some reason I didn't hear what you asked. I apologize.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So We the Free is phenomenal. The idea of We the Free is it's going to be a platform where all of us can operate, not just reviewers or stuff like that, and total new shows, total new ways to talk about the news, where there are no worries about being throttled. There's no worries about Zuckerberg not liking what we say, or if we say the wrong word, then we're demonetized or the whole video's deleted. It's going to be phenomenal. It's launching relatively. We just had the launch party out in Vegas, but the shows are going to start soon. And I'm blessed to be one of the first 6 or 7 creators on the platform. And I know round 2, the phase 2, as they kick out with more, there's going to be a lot planned, a lot of new people on the platform, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. The guys over at Guns Out are instrumental in this, and I jumped at the opportunity to help support them and do this, to get our stuff out there without being deplatformed, without having an algorithm, crush us, or some viewer overseas in Bangladesh strike it because they don't think guns are cool. Those days are done with We the Free. It's awesome.
I love that. Talk about what your show's going to be about, if you can.
Yeah, so I'll give you I don't think we put the title out anywhere officially, but it's Keeping Bear News. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to do it a little different than when you usually see me now. It's going to be a little more relaxed, a little more casual talk, and give people some nitty-gritty in ways that I couldn't do before. So we'll leave it that way, and hopefully see you all over there. If you haven't, check them out. Sign up. We the Free. There's still time to get in before everybody starts, pumping it full of content. But it's going to be really, really cool. Like my buddy's Pew Viewer on there. What the Kicks, Jeremy's on there.
Yeah.
PSR's on there. Iraq Veterans on there. It's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, so I was on the phone with John last night talking about it, and we're going to do an ambassador program, so we're going to pump it out there. Your episode that we're recording right now is either dropping, I wanted to double check it, you are either dropping February 19th or February 26th. So the good news is it's about 3 to 4 weeks out, so by the time all this happens, it should be live, which is great. We're setting up my new studio here in the house Tuesday, so we'll be able to dial in exactly what I plan on doing and how I'm going to deliver it once I get the studio set up. Because as you guys know,
Super cool.
You might have one idea, but something might not play out the way you think. So we're gonna kind of narrow it down and shoot a couple pilots and see which way we're gonna go as far as delivery and content and stuff like that. But I'm really, really looking forward to having no handcuffs, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
So,
I was excited. Go ahead, Adam.
So when it comes to guns and gadgets on YouTube, I noticed you did an interview the other day with Eric Pratt on there. Are you still going to have that kind of format? Is that going to be something moving forward on that channel you're going to still do, or are we going to try to shift most of it over to We the Free?
Guns and gadgets isn't going to change. For those who might worry about it, I promised a lot of people when I first started doing this that people would always be able to depend on me being where the eyeballs are, and unfortunately, that is Google, Meta, and stuff like that. So Guns and Gadgets isn't going anywhere unless they remove me, because people need. It's taken a long time to build that trust where people know where to go and get the info. So that I'm not going to violate people's trust that way, and hopefully be able to build something even better, a little different maybe, over at We the Free that will also draw people over there as well. So the idea is to do it a little bit different so that it's not a cookie cutter, and give some more value on a different platform as well.
That's awesome. And then you're still a podcaster too, are you, with the Liberty Lounge? So you got a lot of fires going on, don't you?
When do you sleep?
I don't.
Oh yeah, and you have a coffee company too, Blackout, right?
Yeah.
Blackout Coffee. It's like,
That's what keeps him awake.
That's how he gets it all done.
Yeah, caffeine for the win, man.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this though. I'm excited about the platform. I'm excited to know that it is, I'll say it so no one else gets in trouble. It's starting web based. Hopefully, middle to end of next month, it's going to be the app will drop. That way, you can actually get on there, and it will be similar features, similar functions as a Hulu, as a Netflix, as a Roku, any smart TV, any Apple, any Google, any product. You should be able to look up We the Free and hopefully have the icon there. Then just do your credential, sign in, and you can watch it from your smartphone. You can watch from your tablet, your laptop, or on your couch or in the bed. So it's there. I'm excited though. I'm excited to watch your show. My wife is going to get tired of it. She wasn't the biggest gun person. She's a 2A advocate. She's fine with guns. She believes we should own them, but she's not the biggest, hey, let's shove all this stuff down your throat, as she probably should be. But now that that's going to be there, it's like, oh, that's going to be on every channel. It's either going to be you, or it's going to be Jeremy over there pimping somebody's platform, or it's going to be great. It's going to be really great. And I hope they can bring back more shows. I didn't say it to John or anyone, but it's the perfect place for shows like Build Box that went away, or Top Shot that went away, because, the 2A guys that aren't hunters, man, you don't want to pay the premium to get the premium cable package just to get that one show that comes on 3 months out of the year. So this is going to be exciting. I'm really excited.
Yeah, they, because I'm on the inside now, I know their plan and their vision, and I'm stoked for it. Like, there's going to be a lot of stuff that it's not just going to be, like what we're typically used to. They're going to have a lot of original shows on there too. Like Tony Sentmanot's thing is phenomenal. Talk to Tony. There's a lot of good stuff coming, man.
I want to see. I'm old school like you guys. We're a little older. You guys remember MTV?
Oh yeah.
When it was at the Real World. I would love to see like a 2A Real World.
I don't think you guys want that, because if it's all of us,
lock us all in a house together,
all of us as friends in the house, it will be annoying because we all just have so much fun and people get tired of it. But if it's the guys that don't get along, it'd be Real
Even
World
better.
It would be terrible. You don't want anything that's going to divide us, man. Honestly, I think that there's too many entities out there. We all say it, but that are trying to tear us down. We don't need to be part of it. We need to fight like family. We need to have those closed door arguments inside the house, and then we go outside, everybody's smiling and waving and saying life is great on the inside.
Yeah, and that happens a lot.
It does.
Yeah. I think Adam just secretly wants to be locked into a house with a bunch of men and guns, but I'm not judging.
God, you got me. You got me.
Man, go ahead, Adam.
No, go ahead, Mike. I got it.
No, I was going to say, so now we just talked about you never sleeping and staying up with caffeine. Let's talk about the coffee company a little bit, man. Let's go ahead and let's get that out there. Tell us, I guess you got into it. I don't want to say that, I don't want to downplay it, but now I think everybody has a cigar. But for a while there, it was, hey, we're going to do coffee. And you invested into a coffee company. So talk about that and why you did it, and, how's it doing? How's it going?
Sure. So it's Blackout Coffee Company. We're in Fort Pierce, Florida, which is our third location. We've been blessed to grow enough that we have to keep finding new spots. It started out, so my partner, John Santos, was a viewer of the channel, and he was from Massachusetts as well. He moved to Florida. He's what I call a serial entrepreneur. And he, like myself, like in New England, we have this place called Dunkin' Donuts, and Dunkin' Donuts coffee is terrible. It's always tastes bitter, like it's been burnt, and it's just, that's what you get. And, you know, I don't go to the other, you know, Starbucks place. And so he, when he got to Florida, couldn't find a good place that made good coffee. And John's the type of person who's like, if I can't find it, I'll do it myself. And taught himself about coffee beans and taught himself about roasting, and you know, started Blackout Coffee. And within a couple months of him starting it, he reached out to me and asked if we wanted to do something together, like on an affiliate level. And you know, I don't do anything on the affiliate side unless I really, really believe in it and use the product. So I told him to send me some, and dude, like legit, it sounds cliche, but the first cup of coffee I had was mind-blowingly different than anything that I had before, like at a chain place. So I jumped on with him, and not too long after that, became part of the ownership team. And you know, we've grown. We've done really, really good. And recently, this is the reason I still have a little energy in me right now. We came out with the canned lattes. We have over 32 different flavors.
I think I had that at Goals last year. You guys were giving out.
Yeah, that's where we released it. Actually,
I was like, man, that is so good.
It took us 3 years to get to market with that, and now I know the business side about getting. You look at all these products you see in stores and don't realize the blood, sweat, and tears that go behind it. So 3 years to get that to market. And you know, we do our own K-Cups in-house. Everything other than grow the bean and you know, shipping it to us in America, we do in-house. We buy our beans from the best farmer co-ops in the world. We buy this year's product, this year's crop. We buy premium beans, which is why it's a little higher than if you drink Sanka. You know, you're paying a premium for a reason.
Went old school Sanka.
Yeah. And you know, if you're a coffee connoisseur, try it. It really is that much better than most stuff that's out there. If you ask me, it's better than everything that's out there. And we do everything in house. We do our own K-Cups in house. We have over 32 flavors. We have you know, a roaster's choice once a month. Our roasters come up with a roast that you can't get online. You can't get as a normal purchase. We also have a flavor of the month. Same thing. It's the guys come up with something, we sign off on it, and we do it for 1 month through our subscriptions, and you can't get it any other time of year. So we're doing pretty good, man. And you know, we're just blessed that we were able to build a group of customer base that is loyal and keeps coming back. I think our return rate is like 80%, which is crazy.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm gonna need to see, since you're in the mountains, I'm gonna need to see. I'll play your, you know, your old school, show your age too. I'm gonna need a commercial, and it needs to be you walking the donkey and handing people cups of coffee through the window like Juan Valdez.
Juan Valdez.
Yeah, do you remember that? That's like,
Oh yeah.
just some stranger just coming through your window and handing you a cup of coffee. Like, yeah, that was the 80s.
So Juan Valdez, that farm is actually a real thing. There, we actually get some Colombian from them.
That's pretty funny. But
That's awesome.
It just always reminds me of that. I'm like, some weird guy just showing up in your window. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
That's a felony.
Yeah, that's old.
Yeah. Yeah. So, man, Matt, you got anything?
I mean, it sounds like you've got some big plans coming up with We the Free, but is there anything new from Guns and Gadgets? I mean, we love the consistency of the content, of course, but anything big coming down the pipeline?
Well, last week, Caroline Levitt, who is the press secretary of Donald Trump, made the announcement that they had one seat that every day a creator could be in, somebody who wasn't legacy media. I've put in for that. I don't know if I'm going to get approved, but I would love to sit there one day and actually ask the president's press secretary some real questions about the Second Amendment.
I have questions for her too. They're probably different though.
Yeah. Are you single? Things like that, I'm sure.
That's awesome.
I'm sure she gets that question quite a bit.
Probably.
Yeah.
But not for me though.
That would be a really big, that'd be a cool step. That's something that we had all talked about as a team as well, and I think that it's going to be a really important step for this administration for Americans to start respecting the media again. Anything we can do to take that power away from those big corporations that have been established for 100 years and bought and controlled for 100 years is I mean, I think that's good in my book.
Yeah, and I think it would be really good to have some of our representatives every now and then there too, because I mean, I don't know if you guys watched, but like I talked with some of the transition team for Trump when they were still running, and when we were able to tell them that hey, there were 10 million gun owners that aren't even registered to vote in this country, and they don't plan on registering, and they sure as hell don't plan on voting for you because of things you might have said or done in the past. Like, how can we fix some wrongs? How can we get things to be fixed? And I traveled the country for almost a year telling people, like, these are the numbers, this is the number in your state, and if you're one of these, you need to fix it, otherwise you're just going to be somebody who complains all the time. Be part of the fix rather than be part of the problem. And we were able to sway the needle, man. We got a lot of gun owners registered, and some that didn't vote last time to vote this time. And we made the gun community, I firmly believe the reason he won the way he did was because the Second Amendment voters had enough, and they were hoping to be recognized. And he's made some promises. Now it's on some people in high places that I know personally to hold him to that.
Heck
Hold
yeah.
them accountable.
Matt, Matt, I think it's about that time.
I think it's about that time. It's my favorite time. My favorite part of the show. It's because Mike usually, when it's his time, Mike just sits there quietly, and I actually get to talk. So, Jared, it's not a unique question. Admittedly, we've stolen it from somebody else, but all of us gun people kind of secretly judge other gun people by the types of guns and shooting that they like to do. So we're going to ask you top 5 guns, and if A doesn't matter, the cost of ammunition doesn't matter, and it's not the zombie apocalypse, just kind of everyday life, but you got to cover all your bases with only 5 guns. So, Jared Yanis.
Guns that I have personally?
No, it could be
don't have to own
guns
them.
that you
They
dream
could
of,
be
too.
Many eras.
But they're the only 5 guns the rest of your life.
They're the only 5 guns the rest of your life. So, what 5 guns are you taking, Jared?
Let's see. I'll have to do. I want a good bolt action 6.5 Creedmoor for my long distance needs, so that I can reach out and touch someone or something should I need to, and obviously a nice optic on there. So 6.5 Creedmoor, as long as it's a solid one, don't care. I mean, if you get to see, did you guys stop by the Brownells booth while you were at SHOT?
Yes. Yes.
Did you see the one I built?
Yes.
I did.
What'd you think? Yay, nay?
It was okay. No, I'm
No,
it was
no,
cool.
no. All the collaborations that all the guys did, man, they
super
were all
rad.
great.
Yeah.
They were awesome.
Yeah.
I kind of busted Pete's chops a little bit and was like, "Hey, why didn't we get the call?" And he just said, "Talk to Caleb," and I was like, "Good answer."
Yeah. So that's my 6.5 Creedmoor that I would take. And my goal is to get that here in the next couple weeks and stretch it out to a mile relatively quick. So that'll be my long distance. Then my mass casualty item. I want a saw. Just want one.
Good choice.
With unlimited, seeds
Yeah.
to go with it. That'll cover if I need to cut the lawn down. If I let
Yeah.
it grow for a long period of time.
Exactly.
I am a big fan of my Beretta 1301 shotgun, so that'll cover
that's a
my
good one.
shotgun
That is
needs.
a good one.
So we got long distance, we got full auto, we got shoddy.
Two more.
I would probably do a solid, either a Daniel Defense, AR platform, just for an intermediate gun. I think ARs are a little. You can accessorize them to what you want out to 600 yards, so that's a good little platform there. And then
What
for
length are you
personal defense,
taking in your AR?
yeah. For personal defense, I'd probably go with a Glock 19, just because it's tried and true, and no matter what I do to it, it's gonna go bang. There are other guns that I like a little more than that, but if I only get one pistol to choose, I want something that's going to be take a licking and keep on ticking type deal.
It's
there's
pretty common
answers,
choice
and
in 5 guns.
That's a great choice.
No, those cover everything. Jared, we really appreciate you coming on the show, man. Before we get you out of here today, go ahead and plug yourself one more time. Every spot they can. It's a lot. It's a long list, but where can people find you?
Search Guns and Gadgets on just about any platform, and I'm there. Mainly, I'm on YouTube, and then Instagram and X are my next two. But I'm on pretty much anything that the 2A community is on.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, guys, if you watch this long, we appreciate it. Make sure you do like, subscribe, leave a comment. Tell us if you have any questions for Jared, throw them in the comment section. We do appreciate it. If you are on YouTube, make sure you jump over to Rumble. Give us a follow on there as well. And guys, if that's all we got today, like I always say, stay dangerous, carry a weapon. We'll talk to you soon.